Hi, everybody. If you are watching this as the replay, thanks so much for watching. We are doing our book club tonight. This is A Court of Thorns and Roses. My name is Steph. I'm traveling the country in my Jeep with my dog Clover. We just left Key West and we are in Georgia. I got a room tonight. We're getting ready to head to the Carolinas next. So this is just something that I've been doing. If this is the first live stream that you're on for this, I just have been live streaming reading my book. It's a book about a girl who gets whisked away into a fairy kingdom and it's kind of getting to a steamy point, so I skip over the steamy parts a little bit, but I don't know, this is like our 14th or 15th live stream, I think, of it. So if you are just coming in for the first time, I recommend going back to like the first and second live stream, and I have a little playlist that I've created of all the different ones that we've done so far. Hi, you guys. Hi, Jackie, Sharon, Cheryl, MC, Aaron, D, Michael, Taylor, Miss Kara, New Leaf, Jackie, Southern, Ernie, Kimberly. Hi, you guys. Thanks for coming in. Terry. Hi, everybody. So this is a live stream, so I'm going to be interacting with the chat as well as reading. I have been interacting with the chat less and less with it and reading more and more, but it is not an audiobook. We are still interacting with the chat, still hanging out, talking and stuff. Hi, Marsha, City Boy Dan, Crystal. Hi, everybody. Yeah, we just got done doing campfires in the house. Dee, we just got done doing a TikTok live stream, and that was a lot of fun. So now we're doing our YouTube. I had gotten a tattoo a couple days ago, so I've been showing that off. So I'll show that off now. I got this fox. I got the roses last year in February. I got the fox this year in March. Loving my fox right now. We did a live stream earlier today too. Kimberly with the $2 super chat. Thank you, Kimberly. That was your 5th super on a live stream. Thank you, Kimberly. Earlier today we did the Jekyll Island Driftwood Beach live stream. So if you didn't see that, you should go watch that. Campfires became a heavy splooter. I thought you already were one, Campfires. Thank you. Oh, was that your other profile? I noticed that you had 2. New Leaf gifted a membership to April in the Keys. Thank you, New Leaf. Thanks for gifting the membership. Campfires, thanks for being a heavy splooter. Sherry, hi. Hi, you guys. Everyone liked the live. Thank you, Mike. Thanks for saying that. Glenda, Kahushi, Miss Megan, everybody. Okay, I hope everybody's doing really good. Scorpio, Carolina for Clover Snacks. $4.99 super chat. Carolina, thank you so much. Glad someone real got it. Yeah. Oh, yeah, because you can't pick them out on YouTube, huh? I'm glad April got it. Yeah, it was so nice. It was just random, huh? Well, that's good that April got it. I wonder if they kind of do it based on activity and stuff. Hi, Splend. Valerie gifted a sub. Let's go. Deborah got it. Thank you, Valerie. Thanks for gifting the membership. So sweet. Clover Snacks. Well, it can contribute to the snacks. That's right, Carolina. Thank you so much. Let's go. Just a reminder. So there are trolls in the chat. I see them right now. I'll be blocking and muting. But, oh, Campfires gifted one. Nicole got it. Nicole. Thank you, Campfires. Thanks for gifting that. I will be blocking and muting the trolls, don't worry, but you can block them too. So just a reminder of that. If you block the trolls in the chat, you won't see them anymore. So as I'm like reading and going through the live stream, if they're bugging you guys, just block them and you won't see them anymore. Nice Campfires. Thank you so much. All right, let me see who I can go ahead and hide. I think that was mostly, okay, maybe just those guys. Okay, I think there's just 2 of them, but if there's any more, I'll get them, don't worry. Or I will be reading and you can just block them. Yeah, but we see how it, yeah. Oh, Valerie with the $10. Whoa, Valerie with the $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Valerie. Oh, that was so nice of you. Do I have a Cash App? Yeah, I do. It's in the link tree in my bio, but you guys don't got to worry about those. Thank you for those. Thank you, you guys. Thanks for even asking about that. Hi everybody. Do you like Taylor Swift? You know, I think she's probably for a younger crowd than me. I don't, well, that's not true. I mean, there's people older than me that like Taylor Swift. I don't know. I don't really listen to that kind of music. I listen to more like rock, 80s music, instrumental music. St. Patrick's Day green hair, I suppose. I didn't do that on purpose though, but yeah. Now you're awake. I know, right? There's so many. It's kind of like I don't really want to block and mute because I like having the engagement, but at the same time, it's like, ugh, whatever. I don't know. I don't think we need it. Like we have pretty good engagement anyways, so. Hi guys. Campfires is amazing. Okay, I grabbed I think like 5 more. Valerie, that was your 10th super on a live stream. Thank you so much. Pretty good for a beginner. Yeah, it's not too bad, right? It's been all right. Can't even see them because you already blocked them. Yeah. Okay, and I don't want to spend the whole live stream worrying about blocking trolls. I'm so happy that the people who are here. D with the $10 super chat. Whoa, D. We love you and Clover. That was your 5th super on a live stream too, D. Thank you so much. Click the thumbnail up at the top of the screen. Thanks, Aaron. Let's go. All right, we're going to get started. I'm going to read this book. Thanks, you guys. Thanks for hanging out on YouTube. Heck yeah. And I see all the people liking the supers. I see you guys liking this stream as well. Thank you. We've got 30 likes on the live stream. We've got 60 people in here. Let's go. This is A Court of Thorns and Roses. We are on chapter 31. This is page 268. So chapter 31 today. I'll probably just read 2 chapters. I'll probably just read 2. So we're getting pretty far. There's 44 chapters in here. So I feel like we've been doing pretty good. Aaron with the $5 super chat. That was your 3rd time doing a super on a live stream. Thank you so much, Aaron. Thanks for the 5 big ones. Heck yeah. Let's go. Okay, we're going to get started. Hi, TWC. Hi, you guys. Okay. We're on page 268. Once again, if this is your first time in this live stream, we've got like, I think like 14 other live streams that we've done so far. I'm not sure what number this is. I'll put it on the live stream, but I recommend starting at the beginning with the first live streams. But I don't know, maybe you can just hop in on chapter 31 too. Heck if I know. All right. I always feel a pressure like when I do this because it's weird reading out loud to people, but it's cool. It's it's holding me accountable. I feel like I'm getting better and better too. It's hard to read out loud. The ball was a blur of waltzing and preening, of bejeweled aristos, of wine and toasts in my honor. I lingered at Nesta's side because she seemed to do a good job of scaring off the 2 curious suitors who wanted to know more about my fortune. But I tried to smile, if only for Elaine, who flitted about the room, personally greeting each guest and dancing with all of their important sons. But I kept thinking about what Nesta had said about saving Tamlin. I'd known something was wrong. I'd known he was in trouble, not just with the blight of Prythian, but also the forces gathering to destroy him were deadly. And yet I'd stopped looking for answers, stopped fighting it, glad, so selfishly glad, to be able to set down that savage, wild part of me that had only survived hour to hour. I'd let him set me home. I hadn't tried harder to piece together the information I'd gathered about the blight or Amarantha. I hadn't tried to save him. I hadn't even told him that I loved him back. And Lucian had known it too and had shown it in his bitter words on my last day. His disappointment in me. 2 in the morning, and yet the party was showing no signs of slowing. My father held court with several other merchants and aristo men who I had been introduced to, but the names I'd instantly forgotten. Elaine was laughing among the circle of beautiful friends, flushed and brilliant. Nesta was silently left at midnight, and I didn't bother to say goodbye as I finally slipped upstairs. Dun-dun-dun. Hi Trista. Hi guys. The following afternoon, bleary-eyed and quiet, we all gathered at the lunch table. I thanked my sister and father for the party and dodged my father's inquiries regarding whether any of his friends' sons had caught my eye. The summer heat had arrived, and I propped my chin on a fist as I fanned myself. I'd slept fitfully in the heat last night. It was never too hot or cold at Tamlin's estate. I have to say, I find her kind of boring when she's not there. I hope she goes back to the fairy kingdom because her being rich and at home is kind of like not suiting to her character, in my opinion. I'm thinking of buying the better land, my father was saying to Elaine, who was the only one of us listening to him. I'd heard a rumor it will go up for sale soon, since none of my family survived, and it will be a good investment property. Perhaps one of you girls might build a house on it when you're ready. You too, Mary? You feel the same way? You too, LG? Yeah. Elaine nodded interestingly, but I blinked. What happened to the Bedouins? Well, it was awful, Elaine said. Their house burned down and everyone died. Oof. Well, they couldn't find Claire's body, but ... She looked down at her plate. It happened in the dead of the night. The family, their servants, everyone. The day before you came home to us, actually. Oh, that was the girl's name that she said she was to that guy, to that dangerous guy. She said that she was that neighbor girl's name instead of her own. And so the house burned down with everybody in it. Claire Bedore, I said slowly. Our friend, remember? Elaine said. I nodded, feeling Nesta's eyes on me. No, it couldn't be possible. It had to be a coincidence. It had to be a coincidence. I'd given that name to Rysand, and he had not forgotten it. My stomach turned over, and I fought against the nausea that roiled within me. Feyre, my father asked. I put a shaking hand over my eyes, breathing in what had happened, not just to the Bedders, but at home in Prythian. Feyre, my father said again, and Nesta hissed at him, quiet. I pushed back my guilt, the disgust and terror. I had to get answers. I had to know if it had been a coincidence or if I might yet be able to save Claire. And if something had happened here in the mortal realm, then the spring court, those creatures Tamlin had been so frightened of, the blight that had infected magic, their lands, fairies, they had all come over the wall and left no trace behind. I lowered my hand and looked at Nesta. You must listen very carefully, I said to her, swallowing hard. Everything I told you must remain a secret. You do not come looking for me. You do not speak my name to anyone. Oh my goodness, Matt. What are you talking about, Feyre? My father gaped at me from the end of the table. Elaine glanced between us, shifting at her seat. But Nesta held my gaze, unflinching. Something about very bad might be happening in Prythian, I said softly. I'd never learned what the warning signs Tamlin had instilled in their glamours to prod my family to run, but I wasn't going to risk relying solely on them. Not when Claire had been taken, her family murdered. Because of me, bile churned in my throat. Okay. I went on. Oh, Prythian, my father and Elaine blurted, but Nesta held up a hand to silence them. I went on, if you won't leave, then hire guards, hire scouts to watch the walls, the forest, the village too. I rose from my seat. The first sign of danger, the first rumor you hear of the wall being breached. MC gifted a membership. Fizzing Boxer Mom got it. Ah, another real one. Thank you so much, MC. Thanks for gifting that. Let's go. Hi, Damien. Thank you, MC. Let's see. I rose from my seat. The first sign of danger, the first rumor you hear of the wall being breached, or even something strange, you get on a ship and you go. You sail far away, as far south as you can get, to someplace the fairies would never desire. My father and Elaine began blinking. Valerie, gifting a sub. Let's go. Lisa got it. Thank you so much, Valerie. Thanks for gifting that membership. Lisa in the house. My father and Elaine began blinking, as if clearing from the fog from their minds, as if emerging from a deep sleep, but Nesta followed me into the hall, up the stairs. Yeah, very nice. Thank you, Valerie. The Bedders, she said, that was meant to be us, but you gave them a fake name. Those wicked fairies who threatened your high lord. I nodded in agreement. I could see the plans calculating in her eyes. Is there going to be an invasion? She asked. I don't know, I said. I don't know what's happening. I was told that there was a kind of sickness that had made their powers weaken or go wild, a blight on the land that had damaged the safety of their borders and could kill people if it struck badly enough. They said it was surging again, on the move. The last I heard, it wasn't near enough to harm our lands. But if the spring court is about to fall, then the blight has to be getting close. And Tamlin was one of the last bastions keeping the other courts in check, the deadly courts, and I think he's in danger. I entered my room and began peeling off my gown. My sister helped me, then opened the wardrobe to pull out a heavy tunic and pants and boots. I slipped into them and was braiding back my hair when she said, "We don't need you here, Feyre. Do not look back." I tugged on my boots and went for my hunting knives I've discreetly acquired while here. Father once told you to never come back, Nesta said, and I'm telling you now, we can take care of ourselves. They're like, get out of here. It's so funny. They're like, don't come back. We're doing fine without you. We're loaded now, Feyre. Get back out of here. I tugged on my boots and went for the hunting knives I discreetly acquired while here. Once I might have thought it was an insult, but now I understood what a gift she was offering me. She's like, get out of here. I sheathed the knives at my side and slung a quiver of arrows across my back, none of them ash, before scooping up my bow. They can lie, I said, giving her information I hoped she would never need. Fairies can lie, and iron doesn't bother them one bit, but ash would. That seems to work. Take my money and buy a damned grove of it for Elaine to tend. Nesta shook her head, clutching her wrist, the bracelet of iron still there. What do you think you can even do to help? He's a high lord. You're just a human. That wasn't an insult either. It was a question from a coolly calculating mind. I don't care, I admitted at the door now, which I flung open, but I've got to try. Nesta remained in my room. She would not say goodbye. She hated farewells as much as I did. But I turned to my sister and said, there is a better world, Nesta. There is a better world out there waiting for you to find it. And if I ever get the chance, if things are ever better, safer, I will find you again. It was all I could offer her. But Nesta squared her shoulders. Don't bother. I don't think I'd be particularly fond of fairies anyways. I raised a brow. She went with a slight shrug. Try to send word once it's safe, and if it is ever safe, Father and Elaine can have this place. I think I'd like to see what else is out there, what a woman might do with a fortune and a good name. No limits, I thought. There were no limits to what Nesta might do, what she might make of herself when she found a place to call her own. I prayed I would be lucky enough to someday see it. Elaine, to my surprise, had a horse, a satchel of food, and supplies ready when I hurried down the stairs. My father was nowhere in sight, but Elaine threw her arms around me and held them tightly and said, I remember all of it now. I wrapped my shoulders around her. Be on your guard, all of you. I nodded, tears in her eyes. I would have liked to see the continent with you, Feyre. I smiled at my sister, memorized her lovely face and wiped her tears away. Maybe someday, I said, and another promise that I'd be lucky to keep. Elaine was still crying as I spurred my horse and galloped down the drive. I didn't have it in me to say goodbye to my father once more. I rode all day and stopped only when it was too dark for me to see, due north. That's where I would start and go until I hit the wall. I had to get back. I had to see what had happened, had to tell Tamlin everything that was in my heart before it was too late. I rode all of the second day, slept fitfully, and was off before first light. On and on, through the summer forest, lush and dense and humming, until an absolute silence fell. I slowed my horse to a careful walk and scanned the brush and trees ahead for any sign, any ripple. There was nothing, and then my horse bucked and shook her head, and it was all I could do to stay in the saddle as she refused to go forward. But still, there was nothing, no marker. Yet when I dismounted, hardly breathing, as I put out a hand, I found that I could not pass. There, cleaving through the forest, was an invisible wall. But the fairies had come and went through it, through holes, rumor claimed. So I led my horse down the line, tapping the wall every so often to make sure I hadn't veered away. It took me 2 days. and the night between them was more terrifying than anything I'd experienced at the spring court. 2 days before I spied the mossy stones placed away from across from each other, a faint whorl carved in them both, a gate. This time, when I mounted my horse and steered her between them, she obeyed. Hi Pamela, hi Sino, hi everybody. Magic stung my nostrils, zapping until my horse bucked again, but we were through. I knew these trees. I rode in silence, an arrow nocked and ready, the threats lurking in the forest far greater than those in the woods I'd just left. Tamlin might be furious. He might command me to turn around and go back, but I would tell him that I was going to help, tell him that I loved him and would fight for him however I could, even if I had to tie him down to make him listen. I became so intent on contemplating how I might convince him not to start roaring that I didn't immediately notice the quiet, how the birds didn't sing, even as I drew closer to the manor itself, how the hedges of the estate looked in need of a trim. But by the time I reached the gates, my mouth had gone dry. The gates were open, but the iron had been bent out of shape, as if mighty hands had wrenched them apart. Every step of the horse's hooves was too loud on the gravel path, and my stomach dropped further when I beheld the wide-open front doors. One of them hung at an angle, ripped off by its top hinge. I dismounted, arrows still at the ready, but there was no need. Empty. It was utterly empty here, a tomb. Tam, I called. I bounded up the front steps and into the house. I rushed inside, swearing as I slid on a piece of broken porcelain and remnants of a vase. Slowly, it turned in the front hall. It looked as if an army had marched through. Tapestries hung in shreds. The marble banister was fractured, and the chandeliers lay broken on the ground, reduced to mounds of shattered crystal. Tamlin, I shouted. Nothing. The windows had all been blown out. Lucian, I called out. No one answered. Tam, my voice echoed through the house, mocking me. Alone in the wreckage of the manor, I sank to my knees. He was gone. Oh, man. Do I have a booger? Maybe. Thank you. Thanks for letting me nosy. We're on page 275, chapter 32. Hi, you guys. All right. Just a reminder, I know that we do have some trolls in the chat. Every once in a while, trolls will come into the chat. You are able to block them if they're bugging you. All right, we're going to move on to the second chapter. This is chapter 32, page 275. Oh, man, I hope she finds him. What is she going to do? It's just like an empty house. Wonder if it's all glamored. I gave myself a minute, just 1 minute, to kneel in the remnants of the entry hall. Then I eased to my feet, careful not to disturb any of the shattered glass or wood or blood. There were splatters of it everywhere, along with small puddles and smears down the gouged walls. Another forest, I told myself, another set of tracks. Slowly I moved across the floor, tracing the information left. It had been a vicious fight, and from the blood patterns, most of the damage to the house had been done during the fight, not afterward. The crushed glass and footprints came and went from the front and the back of the house, as if the whole place had been surrounded. The intruders had needed to force their way in through the front door. They just completely shattered the doors to the garden. No bodies, I kept repeating to myself. There were no bodies and not much gore. They had to be alive. Tamlin had to be alive. Because if he were dead, ... I rubbed my face, taking a shuddering breath. I wouldn't let myself get that far. My hand shook as I paused before the dining room doors, both barely hanging on their hinges. Oh, I only got 10% battery. I wonder why. Hold on. Oh, that's crazy. Oh. That's weird. Sorry, my little charging block isn't charging. You guys are only at 10% battery. I thought you were charging this whole time. You guys haven't been charging. I got another one. It's all right. Your hair looks like Joker hair? Oh, maybe. It kind of does, doesn't it? Does he have green hair? Is it green? I thought Joker had purple hair. Is it green or purple hair? Yeah, maybe. Is it both purple and green? Joker kind of has Mardi Gras hair, right? Okay, you guys are charging now. Hi, Stephanie. All right. Let's see, where did I leave off? Oh man, I'm sorry. I don't even remember where I was. It's cool. Thanks. You think it's green and it's cool. All right. Nice. What was the last fruit I ate? An apple. I had an apple earlier today. I have a cookie. I got a cookie from Jimmy John's. Not really supposed to be eating after 4. I kind of... Is this it? Is what it... Is this a book club? Yep, this is a book club. You're in the right spot. Clover's right here. Clover says hi. Hi, Clover. She got super concerned when I ate that cookie just now. She was like laying down asleep, and when I grabbed the cookie, she just kind of got up and was looking at me like she wants something. Hi, Clover. Ooh, big stretch. She's got the big stretches. Late night snacks are the best. I know, I'm a late night snacker. I've actually been doing really good. I haven't done late night snacking in days and days. Oh, thank you. Thanks for the compliment. Love her. She thought I was eating her cookie. Yeah. Where is it? Where is what? Where is this? We're in Georgia right now. We're in Georgia right now. I'm gonna give her a little bone. Want that? Clover says thank you for the bone. Is it good? She's like, when are you going to turn the lights off and go to bed? The weather's good. Okay, we're going to go back to the book. I don't know where I left off. I'm sorry. Something limped into the room and sniffed. I could only see its back. We're on page 276. Cloaked in a plain cape, medium height. All it had to do was find me, and all it had to do to find me was shut the door. Perhaps if it came far enough into the dining room, I could slip out, but that would require leaving my hiding spot. Perhaps it would just look around and then leave. The figure sniffed again and my stomach clenched. It could smell me. I dared a better glance at it, hoping to find a weakness, a spot for my knife if things came down to it. The figure turned slightly towards me. I cried out and the figure screeched as I shoved away the door. "Alice," I yelled. She gaped at me, a hand on her heart, her usual brown dress torn and dirty, her apron gone entirely, not bloodied though, nothing save for the slight limp that favored her right ankle as she rushed for me, her tree bark skin bleached birch white. "You can't be here." She took in my knife and bow and quiver. "You were told to stay away." "Is he alive?" I asked. "Yes, but ... My knees buckled at the onslaught of relief. "And Lucian?" "Alive as well, but tell me everything," I interrupted. "Tell me everything." She's like started to tell her multiple times, and she's like, "What about Lucian? Tell me everything." I kept an eye on the window, listening to the manor and grounds around us. Not a sound. Alice gripped my arm and pulled me from the room. She didn't speak as we hurried through the empty, too quiet halls, all of them wrecked and bloodied, but no bodies. Your Boston is adorable. Oh, thank you. You love her noises? Yeah, I'm going to give her one more. Can I have your number? I'll help you clean the house. Oh, well, I don't know. Hello, everyone. Hello, King. Can you play Justin Bieber? Not tonight. A fire had scorched the giant room, and it was a little more than cinders and blackened stone. After sniffing around and listening for any signs of danger, Alice released me. What are you doing here? She asked. I had to come back. I thought something had gone wrong. I couldn't stay away. I had to help. He told you not to come back, Alice snapped. Where is he? I asked. Alice covered her face with long, bony hands, her fingertips grappling into the upper edge of her mask as if trying to tear it away from her face. But the mask remained, and Alice sighed as she lowered her tree bark hands. She took him, she said, and my blood went cold. She took him to her court under the mountain. Who? I asked, but I already know the answer. Amarantha, Alice whispered. She glanced again around the kitchen as if fearful of speaking the name. Why? Who is she and what is she? Please just tell me. Just give me the truth, I said. Alice shuddered. You want the truth? And here it is. She took him for the curse because the 7 times 7 years were over and he hadn't shattered her curse. She's summoned all the high lords to her court this time to make them watch her break him. What is she? What curse? A curse, the curse she had put on this place, a curse that I had failed to even see. You can clean my house, says D. Aaron says you can clean her house too. Amarantha is High Queen of this land, the High Queen of Prythian, Alice said, her eyes wide with some memory of horror. But the 7 High Lords rule Prythian equally. There's no High Queen. That's how it used to be, Alice said. That's how it's always been, until 100 years ago, when she appeared in these lands as an emissary from Highburn. Alice grabbed a large satchel that must have been left by the door. It was already half full of what looked like clothes and supplies. As she began sifting through the ruined kitchen, gathering up knives and any food that had survived, I wondered at the information the Suriel had given me of a wicked fairy king who had spent centuries resenting the treaty he'd been forced to sign and who had sent out his deadliest commanders to infiltrate the other fairy kingdoms and courts to see if they felt as he did, to see if they might still consider reclaiming the human land for themselves. I leaned against one of the soot-stained walls. She went from court to court, Alice went on, turning an apple over in her hands as she inspected it, deemed it good enough, and stuffed it into the bag. Charming the high lords with talk of more trade between Highburn and Prythian, more communication, more sharing of assets, the never-fading flower, they called her. And for 50 years, she lived here as a courtier, bound to no court, making amends, she claimed, for her own actions and the actions of Highburn during the war. She fought in the war against mortals. Alice paused her gathering. Her story is legend among our kind. Legend and nightmare. She was the king of Hyburn's most lethal general. She fought on the front lines, slaughtering humans and any high fae and fairies who dared to defend them. But she had a younger sister, Slithia, who fought at her side, as vicious and wretched as she was. Hold on. Until Slithia fell in love with a mortal warrior, Jurian. Alice loosed a shaking sigh. Jurian commanded mighty human armies, but Slithia still secretly sought him out, still loved him with an unrelenting madness. What, Clover? Come on up here. What are you doing? Come on. What are you doing? You're not getting any more. You're not getting any more of these, Clover. Shh. Come on. What are you doing? Holy moly. We got a dog. What are you doing, Clover? We're trying to read a book. We're trying to read a book, Clover. We only got one more chapter. We're almost done. Clover's like, this is BS. Clover's like, I feel like doing something else. Clover's not into the book tonight, you guys. Why are you being so weird, Clover? We love you. We love you, Clover. We're trying to read a book. You just go lay down. I'm almost done. It's just 2 chapters. She acts like I've been live all night or something. She acts like I've been live for 5 hours or something. I have been. Just not on YouTube, on TikTok. Clover, just relax. Ah! Sorry. Clover looks like she has a little secret to share with us all. Hi, Hercules. Her face does say it all. I know. She's like over it. She wants me to turn off the light, I think. Pregnant? Not tonight. Not tonight, Claire. Claire says I have pregnant eyes. Clover. All right, we're almost done. We're almost done with this chapter. We gotta just, everybody calm down. Okay, so her sister Slithia fell in love with Jurian. Jurian commanded mighty human armies, but Slithia still secretly sought him out, still loved him with an unrelenting madness. She was too blind to realize that Jurian was using her for information about Amarantha's forces. Amarantha suspected this, but could not persuade Slithia to leave him, and could not bring herself to kill him, not when it would cause her sister so much pain. Alice clicked her tongue and began opening the cabinets, scanning their ravaged insides. Amarantha delighted in torturing and killing, and yet she loved her sister enough to stay her hand. What happened? I breathed. Oh, Jurian betrayed Slithia. After months of stomaching being her lover, he got the information he needed and then tortured and butchered her, crucifying her with ash wood so she couldn't move while he did it. He left the pieces for her, for Amarantha. He left the pieces of her for Amarantha to find. They say Amarantha's wrath could have brought down the skies themselves. And had her king not ordered her to stand down. But she and Jurian had their final confrontation later. And since then, Amarantha has hated humans with a rage you cannot imagine. Alice found what looked to be a jar of preserves and added it to the satchel. After the 2 sides made the treaty, Alice said, now going through the door, she butchered her own slaves rather than free them. Brutal. I blanched. But centuries later, the High Lords believed her when she told them the death of her sister had changed her, especially when she opened trade lines between the 2 territories. The High Lords never knew that those same ships had brought over the Hibernarian goods, also brought over her personal forces. The King of Hibern didn't know either, but we all soon learned that in those 50 years she had been here, she has decided she wanted Prythian for her own, to begin amassing power and use our lands as a launching point to one day destroy your world once and for all, with or without her king's blessing. So, 49 years ago, she struck. She knew that even with her own personal army, she would never conquer the 7 High Lords by numbers or power alone. But she was also cunning and cruel, and she waited until they absolutely trusted her, until they gathered at a ball in her honor. And that night she slipped a potion stolen from the King of Hibern's unholy spell book into their wine. And once they drank, the High Lords were prone, their magic laid bare, and she stole their powers from where they originated inside their bodies, plucked them out as if she were taking an apple from its branch, leaving with them only the basest elements of their magic. Your Tamlin, what you saw of him here was a shade of what he used to be, the power that he used to command. And with the High Lord's powers so greatly decreased, Amarantha wrested control of Prythian from them in a manner of days. For 49 years, we have been her slaves. For 49 years, she has been biding her time, waiting for the right moment to break the treaty and take your lands and all human territories beyond it. I wish there was a stool, a bench, or a chair for me to slump into. Alice slammed shut the final drawer and limped for the pantry. Now they call her the Deceiver, she who trapped the 7 High Lords and built her palace beneath the sacred mountain in the heart of our land. Alice paused before the pantry door and covered her face again, taking a few steadying breaths. The sacred mountain, the bald, monstrous peak I'd spotted in the mural in a library all those months ago. But the sickness in the lands, Tamlin said that the blight took their power. She is the sickness in the lands, Alice snapped, lowering her hands and entering the pantry. There is no blight but her. The borders were collapsing because she laid them to rubble. She found it amusing to send her creatures to attack our lands to test whatever strength Tamlin had left. If the blight was Amarantha, then the threat to the human realm, she was the threat to the human realm. Alice emerged from the pantry, her arms full of various root vegetables. You could have been the one to stop her. Her eyes were hard upon me, and she bared her teeth. They were alarmingly sharp. She shoved the turnips and beets into the bag. You could have been the one to free him and his power, had you not been so blind to your own heart. Bleh, she spat. Humans. I was confused. I lifted my hands, exposing my palms to her. I didn't know. You couldn't know, Alice said bitterly, her laugh harsh as she entered the pantry again. It was part of Tamlin's curse. My head swam, and I pressed myself further against the wall. What was? I asked. I fought the rising hitch in my voice. What was his curse? What did she do to him? Alice yanked remaining spice jars off the pantry shelf. Tamlin and Amarantha knew each other before. His family had long been tied to Hybern. During the war, the Spring Court allied with Hybern to keep the humans enslaved. So his father, who was fickle and vicious, was very close with the king of Hybern. To Amarantha, Tamlin, as a child, often accompanied him on trips to Hybern, and he met Amarantha in the process. Tamlin had once told me he would fight to protect someone's freedom, that he would never allow slavery. Had it been his solely because of his shame for his own legacy, or because he'd somehow known what it was to be enslaved? Amarantha eventually grew to desire Tamlin. It's always something like that. She lusted for him with her entire wicked heart. But he'd heard the stories from others about the war, and he knew what her and his father and the Hybern king had done to fairies and humans alike. Didn't set in the water with Clover? What do you mean? Clover's chilling out. Oh, didn't get in the water with Clover earlier at the island? No. I mean, my feet got in the water. What she did to Jurian as punishment for her sister's death, he was wary of her when she came here, despite her attempts to lure him into her bed, and kept his distance, right up until she stole his powers. Lucian was sent to her as Tamlin's emissary to try to treat for peace between them. Bile rose in my throat. She refused, and Lucian told her to go back to the shithole she crawled out of. She took his eye as punishment, carved it out with her own fingernail, and then scarred his face. She sent him back so bloody that Tamlin, the High Lord, vomited when he saw his friend. I couldn't let myself imagine what state Lucian had been in then, if it had made Tamlin sick. Alice tapped her mask, the metal pinging beneath her nails. After that, she hosted a masquerade under the mountain for herself. All the courts were present, a party, she said, to make amends for what she had done to Lucian. And a masquerade so he didn't have to reveal the horrible scarring on his face. The entire spring court was to attend, even the servants, and to wear masks, to honor Tamlin's shape-shifting powers, she said. He was willing to try and end the conflict without slaughter, and he agreed to go, to bring all of us. I pressed my hands against the stone wall behind me, savoring its coolness, its steadiness. Pausing in the center of the kitchen, Alice set down her satchel, now full of food and supplies. When all were assembled, she claimed that the peace could be had if Tamlin joined her as her lover and consort. But when she tried to touch him, he refused to let her near. Not after what she'd done to Lucian, he said, in front of everyone that night. He would sooner take a human to his bed than her. She might have to let it go, or she might have let it go, had he not said that had he not then said that her own sister had preferred a human company to hers, that her own sister had chosen Jurian over her. I winced, already knowing what Alice would say as she braced her hands on her hips and went on. You can guess how well that went over. She told Tamlin that she was in a generous mood. Told him that she'd given him a chance to break the spell she put on him to steal his power. He spat in her face and she laughed. She said he had 7 times 7 years before she claimed him, before he had to join her under the mountain. If he wanted to break her curse, he needed only to find a human girl willing to marry him. But not just any girl, a girl with ice in her heart, with hatred for our kind. Oh, good Lord. It's kind of silly. A human girl. Exactly like Arya. Or wait, what was the girl's name? Sorry. Feyre. Not just any girl. Feyre. A girl who hates us. A girl willing to kill a fairy. The ground rocked beneath me, and I was grateful for the wall I leaned against. Worse, the fairy she killed had to be one of his men. This is ridiculous. Well, when she just walked right in, I'm sure he was all about it. Now I'm starting to question his motives for wooing her, so being so nice to her this whole time and wooing her. What if he's just a big jerk and he's like, oh, she killed my friend, so... It's not very... This is a little much. I don't know. This is ridiculous. I'm sorry. The ground rocked beneath me. Worse, the fairy she killed had to be one of his men, sent across the wall by him like lambs to slaughter. The girl could only be brought here to be courted if she killed one of his men in an unprovoked attack. Killed him for hatred alone, just as Jurian had done to Slithia, so he could understand her sister's pain. The treaty was a lie. There was no provision for that in the treaty. You can kill as many innocent fairies as you want and never suffer the consequences. You just killed Andrus, sent out by Tamlin at that day's sacrifice. Andrus was looking for a cure, Tamlin had said. Not for some magical blight, but a cure to save Prythian from Amarantha. A cure for this curse. The wolf. Andrus had just stared at me before I killed him. Let me kill him. So it could begin the chain of events, so that Tamlin might stand a chance of breaking the spell. And if Tamlin had sent Andrus across the wall, knowing he might very well die. Alice stooped to gather a butter knife, twisted and bent, and carefully straightened out the blade. It was all a cruel joke, a clever punishment to Amarantha. You humans loathe and fear fairies so much it would be impossible for the same girl who slaughtered a fairy in cold blood to then fall in love with one. But the spell that Tamlin could only be broken if she did just that before the 49 years were over. If that girl said to his face that she loved him and meant it with all her heart. Amarantha knows humans are preoccupied with beauty. What? No. You got... Come on up here. Hold on one second. This is ridiculous. I'm sorry, but this is the silliest book. This is so silly. Do you think that it's a lie? Do you think that maybe the... I I wonder if she's being glamored right now, and that's not really Alice. What if she's trying to poison the relationship between her and well, okay then. What if she's trying to poison the relationship between her and Tamlin, make her think that it was like, it's almost like got the same energy as she's in the bathroom and some girl's like, your prom date bet $100 that he could sleep with you. It's like it's got that kind of energy. Yeah, that's true. She didn't do it out of hating fairies, so it wouldn't have. Yeah, she didn't kill him out of hate. I don't know. It's all weird. Amarantha knows humans are preoccupied with beauty and thus bound the masks to all of our faces, to his face. So it would be more difficult to find a girl willing to look beyond the mask, beyond the fairy nature, and to the soul beneath. Then she bound us, so we couldn't say a word about the curse. Not a single word. We could hardly tell you a thing about our world, about our fate. He couldn't tell you. None of us properly could. The lies about the blight, that was the best he could do. The best we could all do. That I can tell you now. It means the game is over. To her, she pocketed the knife. When she first cursed him, Tamlin set one of his men across the wall every day to the woods, to the farms, all disguised as wolves to make it more likely for one of your kind to want to kill them. If they came back, it was with stories of human girls who ran and screamed and begged, who didn't even lift a hand. What? So for like 50 years, he was sending his fairies out, hoping that a human girl... This is weird. She was tricked. This is ridiculous. Okay. I don't know. This is weird. Okay. For 2 years, he sent them out day after day. When all but a dozen of them were left, it broke him so badly he stopped, called it off. And since then, Tamlin has been here, defending his borders as chaos and disorder ruled the other courts under Amarantha's thumb. The other high lords fought back too. 40 years ago, she executed 3 of them and most of their families for banding together against her. Open rebellion, I said. What courts? I asked, straightening, taking a step away from the wall. Perhaps I might find allies among them to help me save Tamlin. So she's not even... She's still in love with him. I'd be questioning everything. I'd be like, this is weird. I've been tricked to fall in love with this guy. He doesn't even like me. He just only did this because I did the wolf, I got the wolf, and now he made me fall in love with him. I would be questioning everything with a conversation like this, wouldn't you? I'd be feeling so manipulated. He was only nice to me. I mean, I'd still want to break the curse, I guess, but I don't know. Didn't they kind of do it and everything? Yeah, the gaslighting, right? He's all like, I love you so fast. If a guy says I love you in that fast, there's something up. The day court, the summer court, and the winter court. And no, it didn't even get far enough to be considered an open rebellion. She used the High Lord's powers to bind us to the land. So the rebel lords tried calling for aid from the other fairy territories, using messengers, whatever humans were foolish enough to enter our lands. Most of them young women who worshipped us like gods. The children of the blessed. They had indeed made it over the wall, but not to be brides. I was too battered by what I'd heard to grieve for them and rage for them. But Amarantha caught them all before they left these shores, and you can imagine how it ended for those girls. Afterward, once Amarantha also butchered the rebellious High Lords, their successors were too terrified to tempt her wrath again. And where are they now? I asked. Are they allowed to live on their lands like Tamlin was? No, she replied. She keeps them and their entire courts under the mountain where she can torment them as she pleases. Others, if they swear allegiance, if they grovel and serve her, she allows them a bit more freedom to come and go under the mountain as they will. Our court was only allowed to remain here until Tamlin's curse ran out. That's why you keep your nephews in hiding, I said, to keep them away from this. I glanced at the full satchel at her feet. Alice nodded, and she went right to right the overturned work table, and I moved to help her, both of us grunting at the weight. My sister and I served in the summer court, she said, and she and her mate were among those put down for spite when Amarantha first invaded. I took the boys and ran before Amaranth had everyone dragged under the mountain. I came here because it was the only place to go, and asked Tamlin to hide my boys, and he did. And when I begged him to let me help in whatever small way, he gave me a position here, days before the mask that put this wretched thing on my face. So I've been here for nearly 50 years, watching as Amarantha's noose grew tighter around his neck. We set the table upright again, and both of us panted a bit as we slumped against it. He tried, Alice said. Even with her spies, he tried finding ways to break the curse, to do anything against it, against having to send his men out once again to be slaughtered by humans. He thought if the human girl loved true, then bringing her here to free him was another form of slavery. And he thought that if he did indeed fall in love with her, Amarantha would do everything she could to destroy her, as her sister had been destroyed. So he spent decades refusing to do it, to even risk it. But this winter, with months to go, he just snapped. He sent the last of his men out one by one, and they were willing. They had all begged him to go all of these years. Tamlin was desperate to save his people, desperate enough to risk the life of his men, risk the human girl's life to save us. 3 days in, Andrus finally ran into a human girl in a clearing, and you killed him with hate in your heart. But I had failed them, and in doing so, I damned them all. I had damned each and every person in this estate, damned Prythian itself. I was so glad I was leaning against the table's edge, or else I might slide to the floor. You could have broken it, Alice said, those sharp teeth mere inches from my face. All you had to do was say that you love him. Say that you loved him and mean it with your whole useless human heart, and his power would have been freed. You stupid girl. No wonder Lucian had resented me and yet still tolerated my presence. No wonder he'd been so bitterly disappointed when I left, had argued with Tamlin to let me stay longer. I'm sorry, I said, my eyes burning. Alice snorted. Tell that to Tamlin. He had only 3 days after you left before the 49 years were over. 3 days, and he let you go. She came here with her cronies at the exact moment the 7 times 7 years were over, and seized him, along with most of the court, and brought them under the mountain to be her subjects. Creatures like me are too lowly for her, though she is not above murdering us for sport. I tried not to visualize it, but what of the king of Hybern? If she's conquered Prythian for herself and stolen his spells, then does he see her as an insubordinate or as an ally? If they are on bad terms, he has made no move to punish her. For 49 years now, she's held these lands in her grip. Worse, after the High Lords fell, all the wicked ones in our lands, the ones too awful even for the Night Corps, flocked to her. They still do. She's offered them sanctuary, but we know she's building her army, biding her time before launching an attack on your world, armed with the most lethal and vicious fairies in Prythian and Hybern. Like the adder, I said, horror and dread twisting in my gut, and Alice nodded. Yes, in the human territory, I said. Rumors claim more and more fairies have been sneaking over the wall to attack humans. And if no fairies can cross the wall without her permission, then that has to mean she's been sanctioning those attacks. And if I was right about what happened to Claire Bedor and her family, then Amarantha had given an order for that too. Maybe some of them, Jack. I don't know. Alice swiped some dirt. I couldn't see from the table we leaned against. I would not be surprised if she has sent her minions into the human realm to investigate your strengths and weaknesses in anticipation of the destruction she one day hopes to cause. This was worse, so much worse than I thought. When I warned Nesta and my family to stay on alert and leave the slightest sign of trouble, I felt sick to think of what kind of company Tamlin was keeping. Sick. I felt sick at the thought of him being so desperate, so stricken by guilt and grief over having to sacrifice his centuries and never being able to tell me, and he'd let me go. Let all of their sacrifices, let Andros's sacrifice be in vain. He'd known that if I remained, I would be at Amarantha's wrath, even if I freed him. I can't even protect myself against them, I thought, against what's happening in Prythian. Even if we stood against the Blight, they would hunt you down. She would find a way to kill you. We're on page 288. We just have a page and a half left. Yeah, it's a Court of Thorns and Roses. I remembered that pathetic effort to flatter me upon arrival, and then he'd given up on it, on any attempt to win me when I'd seemed so desperate to get away, to never talk to him. But he'd fall in love with me despite all of that. I don't know. I don't think he really fell in love with her. She was kind of being a pain, wasn't she? Why would he fall in love with her if you think about it? She was just kind of running away constantly. He's like, I love you, right away. He was just trying to break the curse. I'm bitter now. I think he was just trying to break the curse. I don't think it'll ever come out that way in the book, but I think he was just wooing her from the beginning. Let me grab a few of these trolls. It's so funny. Love the color of your hair. Oh, thanks, Linda. What is that warning? It was just a troll. It was just a troll. They do it all the time on TikTok too. He'd fallen in love with me despite how awful I was being to him. Known I'd love him and let me go with the days to spare. He had put me before his entire court. If Tamlin were freed, if he had his full powers, I said, staring at a blackened bit of wall, would he be able to destroy Amarantha? I asked. I don't know, Alice said. She tricked the High Lords through cunning, not force. Magic's a very specific kind of thing. It likes rules, and she manipulated them too well. She keeps their powers locked up inside herself, as if she can't use them, or can access very little of them, at least. She has her own deadly powers, yes. So if it came down to a fight, but he's stronger, I asked, starting to wring my hands together. Well, he's a High Lord, Alice replied, as if that were answer enough, but none of that matters now. He's to be her slave, and we're all to wear these masks until he agrees to be her lover. And even then, he'll never regain his full powers, and she'll never let those under the mountain go. I pushed off a table and squared my shoulders. How do I get under the mountain, I asked. She clicked her tongue. You can't go under the mountain. No human who goes in ever comes out. I squeezed my fist so hard that my nails bit into my flesh. How do I get there, I asked again. She'll kill you, even if you get close enough to see her. Amarantha had tricked him. She had hurt him so badly, hurt him all so badly. You're a human, Alice went on, standing as well. Your flesh is paper thin. Amarantha must have also taken Lucian. She had carved out Lucian's eye and scarred him like that. Did his mother grieve for him? Wait, how was Lucian's mother ever involved? You were too blind to see Tamlin's curse, Alice continued. How do you expect to face Amarantha? You'll make things worse. Amarantha had taken everything I wanted, everything I finally dared desire. Show me the way, I said, my voice trembling. No, Alice slung her satchel over her shoulder. Go home. I'll take you as far as the wall. There's nothing to be done now. Tamlin will remain her slave forever, and Prythian will stay under her rule. That's what fate dealt, and that's where the eddies of the cauldron decided. I don't believe in fate, I said, nor do I believe in some ridiculous cauldron. She shook her head again, her wild brown hair glistening like mud in the dim light. I like that. Her hair glistening, mud in the dim light. Take me to her, I insisted. If Amarantha ripped out my throat, at least I would die doing something for him. At least I would try fixing the destruction I'd prevented, trying to save people I doomed. At least Tamlin would know it was for him and that I loved him. Alice studied me for a minute before her eyes softened. As you wish. Hi, Harlow. I'm questioning everything now. Me too. I think it's all manipulative. Okay, we're going to leave off on chapter 33, page number 290. That was so silly. I am so sorry. I don't mean to be so snarky about it, but it's so silly. It's ridiculous. You cannot tell me. Like, okay, so the requirements of the curse were that a human girl kill one of his men out in the human world. She has to just end one of them with hate in her heart, and then fall in love with him and say she loves him and mean it. And she has to hate them. Like, that's just the weirdest curse. That's very specific. That's a very weird, specific curse. I guess the reason is because her sister had fallen in love with a human who had hate in his heart for fairies, and he was leading an army. And so I suppose that's why the curse was so specific. But come on. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of, do you remember that TV show Once Upon a Time where they had that curse? And I don't remember what her name was supposed to be, but she had blonde hair and she was always wearing that leather jacket, and she had a little boy named Henry, and they were running around in the fairy tale land. They had to break the curse. It feels like that. But that was a really good show. It's good. It's silly, but it's good. Yes, you're right. It is good. I've enjoyed the book. But she had no hate when she killed the wolf. Unless maybe, I mean, I don't know. She was kind of being a pain in the butt, though. Maybe she didn't have hate for the wolf, but she had hate in her heart for fairies, didn't she? You've been searching for a girl like me? Well, your daughter, and you love that TV show. Yeah, I loved the TV show too. So many beautiful women everywhere. Well, anyways, that was just weirdly specific. She wanted the deer and to get the pelt. You loved Once Upon a Time. Yeah, that was a pretty good book. Or, I mean, that was a pretty good TV show. I liked it up until, the pirate, and I really liked the relationship between the pirate and her. But then after that, it kind of started getting drawn out and weird, right? Like, after that season where the pirate came in and they were kind of canoodling or whatever, they were flirting. Your input is appreciated. I don't mean to be so snarky about it. What if something happened? Well, anyways, I guess I'm going to go to bed. Thanks for helping me read the book, you guys. It was fun. Hi, guys. You was just saying because of my green hair. Yeah. Yep. We were out at the beach today, so my hair's always a little rough, but my hair's a little rough tonight. I'm excited to get a shower tomorrow, and we're going to move on to another spot tomorrow. Thanks so much. Thanks, you guys. Good night, you potatoes. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a really great night. Get some good sleep. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you guys later. Good night. Bye, guys.